Then he called for Nadin and said to him, "Go and take your friends with you, and make a mourning and a weeping for your uncle Ahikar, and lament for him as the custom is, doing honor to his memory." But when Nadin, the foolish, the ignorant, the hard-hearted, went to the house of his uncle, he neither wept, nor sorrowed, nor wailed, but assembled heartless and dissolute people, and set about eating and drinking. And Nadin began to seize the maidservants and the slaves belonging to Ahikar, and bound them and tortured them and beat them with a harsh beating. And he did not respect the wife of his uncle, she who had brought him up like her own boy, but wanted her to fall into sin with him. But Ahikar had been cast into the hiding place, and he heard the weeping of his slaves and his neighbors, and he praised the Most High God, the Merciful One, and gave thanks, and he always prayed and besought the Most High God. And the swordsman came from time to Ahikar while he was within the hiding place, and Ahikar met and encouraged him, and the swordsman comforted him and wished his deliverance. And when the story was reported in other countries that Ahikar the sage had been killed, all the kings were grieved and despised King Sennacherib, and they lamented over Ahikar the solver of riddles. And when the king of Egypt had made sure that Ahikar was slain, he began right away to write a letter to King Sennacherib, saying to him in it of the peace and the health and the might and the honor which we wish specially for you, my beloved brother, King Sennacherib. I have been desiring to build a castle between the heaven and the earth, and I want you to send me a wise, clever man from yourself, your realm, to build it for me, and to answer me all my questions, and that I may have the taxes and the custom duties of Assyria for 3 years. Then he sealed the letter and sent it to Sennacherib. They took it and read it, and gave it to his chancellors, and to the nobles of his kingdom. And they were perplexed and ashamed, and he was angry with a great rage, and was puzzled about how he should act. Then he assembled the old men, and the learned men, and the wise men, and the philosophers, and the diviners, and the astrologers, and everyone who was in his country, and read them the letter, and said to them, "Who among you will go to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and answer him his questions?" And they said to him, "Our lord the king, you know that there is none in your kingdom who is acquainted with these questions except Ahikar, your vizier and secretary. But as for us, we have no skill in this, unless Nadin, his sister's son, does, for he taught him all his wisdom and learning and knowledge. Call him to you, possibly he can untie this hard knot." Then the king called Nadin and said to him, "Look at this letter and understand what is in it." And when Nadin read it, he said, "My lord, who is able to build a castle between the heaven and the earth?" And when the king heard the words of Nadin, he was sorry with a great and harsh sorrow. And he stepped down from his throne and sat in the ashes and began to weep and wail over Ahikar, saying, "I am in grief. Ahikar knew the secrets and the riddles. Woe is me for you, Ahikar, teacher of my country and ruler of my kingdom. Where shall I find anyone like you? Ahikar, teacher of my country, where shall I turn for you? Woe is me for you. How did I destroy you? And I listened to the talk of a stupid, ignorant boy without knowledge, without religion, and without manliness. Oh, oh, I say to myself, who can give you to me just for one more time, or bring me word that Ahikar is alive, and I would give him the half of my kingdom. Where is this to me, ah Ahikar, that I might see you just for once, that I might take my fill of gazing at you and delighting in you? Oh, my grief for you is to all time. Ahikar, how could I have killed you? I was impulsive in your case, and so I had not seen the end of the matter. And the king went on weeping night and day. Now when the swordsman saw the anger and sorrow of the king on account of Ahikar, his heart was softened towards him, and he approached into his presence and said to him, "My lord, command your servants to cut off my head." Then said the king to him, "Woe to you, Abu Samik! What is your fault?"